Amongst the billions of creatures created by the Tyranid hive mind, there exists one as old as the Tyranid species itself, the ultimate conduit through which the hive mind's implacable will is enforced. This creature is to a hive tyrant what a hive tyrant is to a termagant. The Swarmlord is a monster nightmare that has preyed on empires and overseen the extinction of entire civilizations. To the Imperium of Man, it is the Swarmlord, and what it represents is the greatest Tyranid threat to the galaxy. The Swarmlord is a pinnacle of evolution of the hive tyrant bioform, a truly unique monster. The Swarmlord, like a hive tyrant, is essentially immortal, as once killed, it is remade by the hive mind with the exact same experiences, memories, personality, and knowledge, in essence becoming stronger than its predecessor every time. But unlike a hive tyrant, the reincarnation of the Swarmlord appears to be a stress-induced response that is triggered only when conventional strategies of the hive mind fail, and greater resourcefulness and tactics are needed. To this end, the Swarmlord possesses more mental autonomy from the hive mind than any other Tyranid organism, and its connection with the hive mind is so strong it can emerge amongst almost any hive fleet. For weapons, the Swarmlord wields 4 bone sabers, crackling with disruptive power, that are capable of slicing through adamantium and force fields as if they were nothing. They differ from the commonly seen Tyranid bone swords in that each saber has a crystalline growth that partially protrudes through the blade's serrated surface. It is important to note that there is only one Swarmlord. Functionally immortal, he is a combination of all knowledge of genetics and tactics ever accumulated by all hive fleets combined, and can reach out to manifest among any fleet barring no physical distances. So the Imperium first encountered the Swarmlord during the assaults on Tyran and Thandaros, where it appeared to lead the destruction of the remaining Imperial defences. Within the same solar year, clearly getting a taste for human flesh, it next appeared at the Battle of Macragge. Thanks to everyone's favourite war criminal, Inquisitor Cryptman, the defenders of Macragge had been forewarned of the horror that headed towards them. Mere solar weeks after the devastation of Tyran and Thandaros, the Outrider vessels of the Tyranid fleet attacked Macragge. The alien biovessels swept aside attacks by the ultramarine strike cruisers and swarmed over the planet below. Spore-birth beasts scurried and rampaged across Macragge. Deeming that the Tyranid threat was too massive to be opposed piecemeal, Calgar combined his ground forces into 3 mighty armies. And for a time, Calgar and the Ultramarines successfully slowed the initial land invasion of the Tyranids, trading territory as they whittled down the oncoming swarm. Yet even under Marneus Calgar's leadership, such delaying measures would only delay the inevitable. At Cold Steel Ridge, the Space Marines' fortunes changed for the worse. It was during this fateful battle that the Ultramarines faced the most dangerous Tyranid creature yet encountered, one whose distinctive grasp of warfare matched their own tactical acumen. The Swarmlord had appeared once more, and thwarted the Ultramarines' strategies. The Tyranids, under the Swarmlord's psychic dominion, began to overrun the Space Marine positions. Knowing that to remain planetside was to doom his warriors, Calgar ordered Thunderhawk gunships to extract the Ultramarines to the orbiting battle barge Octavius. Sensing its prey was about to escape, the Swarmlord plunged into the fray alongside a horde of elite hive warriors, cutting a path straight towards Calgar. The Lord of Ultramar stood his ground. Laying waste to Xenos horrors with every swing of his fists, he came face to face with the Swarmlord. Locked in a mortal duel, they fought like mythic gods, and as Calgar struck with its last ounce of strength, he was laid low by the monster's blade. Losing multiple limbs, the Ultramarine captain laid out as a glorified mess beneath the Xenos horror. But before the Swarmlord could deliver the killing blow, Calgar's honor guard threw themselves in front of their lord. Slowly, they drove the Swarmlord back, before the Swarmlord tore the commander of the honor guard to pieces as the Thunderhawks arrived. Marneus Calgar would live to fight again, but Cold Steel Ridge was lost. The Swarmlord returned to attack the Imperium 200 years later, which for 40k is basically the same as saying next week. In the space of 4 solar months, the Swarmlord oversaw the absorption of 24 worlds, including the chapter planet of the Storm Falcon's Space Marines, and Andragia, the site of a major orbital shipyard in the region. Another notable appearance of the Swarmlord was during the devastation of Baal, the homeworld of everyone's favourite Primarch, and the Blood Angels. News reached Baal that the defences of the Cryptus system had collapsed, and that the might of Hive Fleet Leviathan was already inside the Blood Angel star system. Already, Dante, the oldest and most respectable Blood Angels captain, had put plans in motion to defend the Blood Angels' homeworld with detached strike forces, and knowing that the consumption of the Cryptus system would open the floodgates for an unstoppable Tyranid invasion of Baal, Dante took a strike force known as the Cryptus Campaign, comprised of the 1st and 2nd companies and the bulk of the Flesh Terrors, to stop the devastation of the Cryptus system. The war that followed was unforgivingly savage, with both the Imperials led by Dante and Tyranid forces spearheaded by the Swarmlord suffering rapidly rapidly escalating casualties. As the Great Devourer tightened its grip on the system, the Blood Angels were eventually forced to unleash an ancient weapon of the Necron tier to annihilate an entire world of the Cryptus system to buy enough time to return to Baal. The chapter intended to fight for the survival upon the world of its birth. The sky above Baal erupted in a violent firestorm as rugged vessels of Space Marines slammed their way into the midst of the approaching tyranids, launching devastating broadsides of storms of nuclear-tipped warheads. Soon the Void War became unsustainable as more and more tyranids emerged from the darkness in squamous waves, with their surviving voidcraft forced to fall back and harass the Hive Fleet's flanks. The Blood Angels now faced the full fury of the Tyranid invasion. The first few Tyranid swarms to make planetfall were obliterated by pre-ranged artillery bombardment and a blistering fusillade of bolter rounds long before they reached the defensive lines. By the 10th wave, the ground was barely visible beneath a stampede of chitin-armored bodies. Amidst the carpet of living flesh loomed colossal synapse creatures. Hive tyrants and giant tervigons spewed out gaunts by the score. It was slowly becoming clear that something was at the behest of this great assault. The Swarmlord, herald of the hive mind, had been spawned anew to ensure the Blood Angels' demise. Tyranids poured from the skies in ever-increasing numbers. Their spores slammed down like hellish seed pods to spill ravenous waves of war beasts directly into battle. Orbital lasers and hurtling gunships took a mighty toll upon the Xenos, in some regions wreaking such carnage that purple icter fell like a storm rain across the defenders below. The level of death and destruction on Baal and its surrounding moons tore reality open. The scent of brimstone and burning blood filled the air. A bellowed chorus of praises to the blood-gored corn, demonic legions boiled from the widening rift. The bloodthirster's demon legions fell upon both Tyranid and Astartes defenders of Baal. The Xenos and transhuman blood was spilled in torrents. In Baal's orbit, thousands of Hive Fleet Leviathan's bioships were snatched into the warp by coils of empiric energy, or swallowed by rifts in space. Soon, only the burning remnants of gutted Hive ships remained, drawn in by Baal's gravitic pull to rain down upon its ravaged surface. Commander Dante, now facing a dual front, led his few remaining warriors in a fighting retreat to the walls of the Blood Angels' fortress monastery, the Arx Angelicum. The greatest Tyranid wave yet then slammed into the defenses of the Arx Angelicum and finally breached them. If the Blood Angels were to die, they intended to do so in battle on their own terms. Forward strode the Swarmlord, entering the fray yet again at this vital juncture, carving Space Marines apart with every slice of its jagged bone swords. Dante hacked his way through the press of Xenos flesh, seeking the Swarmlord's head. Under a burning sky and a bloodied planet, the two dueled, until Dante, bleeding from a dozen mortal wounds, finally cut the creature down. At this point, it's important to note that recently, or for a while now, the Swarmlord has become a bit of a punching bag as far as the lore goes. With it being similar on strength to that of an Avatar of Cain or a Primarch, it really does lose a lot. But of course, if it won all the time, the continued existence of humanity wouldn't really make much sense at all. And with it being immortal, it does get a fair few chances to get revenge. And really, taking Calgar's arms and almost obliterating the entire chapter of the Blood Angels plus Dante is really a feat in and of itself. I really like the Swarmlord, a tactical deadly horror on a similar level to that of a Primarch, with a grudge against the Blood Angels and the Ultramarines is a really cool idea. Though, as ever, in Tyranid lore there is a disappointing lack of detail. I would like to know more about the inner workings and motivations, but really, the unknowable nature of them is what keeps them so frightening and lethal. With the constant presence of Tyranids in M41 and the Swarmlord's immortality, he's not going anywhere, and hopefully, maybe soon, the Swarmlord can finally catch that big W.